You've probably heard about Donald Trump signing an executive order banning central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, in America, right? On the surface, this might seem like just another political move, but in reality, it's so much more. There's a deeper story hidden behind this decision, one that involves not only global finance, but also biblical prophecy, events unfolding in our world today. And if you truly understand it, you'll realize this could be a sign of a significant shift on the horizon, a move that shook the world. Can you imagine? With just one stroke of the pen, Trump set off shockwaves throughout the global financial system. You can bet the major financial institutions and central banks worldwide were stunned. In one single moment, he pulled the rug out from under a project that the world's central banks had been working on for years. The US Treasury had been developing a framework for a digital dollar, a currency that, if fully implemented, would make China's digital yuan look like child's play. Every transaction would be monitored and analyzed in real time. Prohibited purchases would be flagged immediately. But what does this really mean for us? Not just a political decision, but here's the kicker. Banning CBDCs isn't just about politics. It's a fight for personal freedom and control over our own finances. When governments start rolling out digital currencies, the goal isn't just to track spending, it's to control it. Yes, you read that right. They don't just want to know how you're spending your money. They want to control everything you do with it. That's exactly what programmable digital currencies can do. Imagine this, your money, your account, no longer being your own. The government could take it from you without your knowledge or consent. And while the global financial world is in turmoil, there's a bigger question we need to ask. Is Trump's intervention just a political maneuver, or is he doing something far more significant? Why this move is more important than you think. While central bankers and financial institutions around the globe are reeling, there's one thing you need to realize. Trump didn't just ban CBDCs, he used language that made it clear he understands the spiritual implications of what he's fighting. He called it a dangerous threat to freedom and a move toward government tyranny. For those who are following these events closely, it's hard to miss the fact that his words carry far more weight than simple politics. He's not just fighting over money, he's fighting for something much bigger. What's even more interesting is how he framed the danger of CBDCs. Trump didn't just see this as an economic issue, he understood it as a spiritual battle. He called it a threat to freedom, a form of government overreach that could allow the state to seize money from individuals without their consent. And when he referred to it as government tyranny, you have to wonder, could this be a much larger fight than anyone realizes? A fight not just about money, but about our very freedom. A major change in the global economic landscape. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. When Trump signed this order, it wasn't just a victory in the battle against central banks' plans, it was a major intervention in the prophetic timeline of events described in the Bible. In Scripture, there's mention of a restrainer who will hold back the wicked one from coming onto the world stage. Could Trump be that restrainer? Could he be a tool in God's hand, delaying the end times and protecting his people? The truth is, Trump isn't just delaying the digital currency system, he's also creating a temporary delay in the unfolding of events that are predicted in Scripture. However, it's important to understand that Trump's intervention is just a temporary holdup. According to the Bible, the wicked one will eventually arrive, no matter how much resistance there is. How Trump's intervention may be changing the prophetic timeline. Can't help but wonder, could Trump's ban on CBDCs be a short-term strategy? Is he just trying to stop something that's ultimately inevitable? One thing is for sure, the global elites and financial institutions aren't happy about Trump's decision. They'll keep pushing to make their plans work. And while Trump may delay their efforts, they will certainly find another way to achieve their goals. We need to face the truth. While Trump may be slowing things down, the events that are predicted in the Bible will still unfold. And we, as individuals, need to figure out where we stand in this battle. The final question, are you ready for what's coming? As we look to the future, the important question isn't whether we can stop the beast system from coming, but whether we are prepared for the inevitable events that will unfold. Are we ready to recognize the signs and, most importantly, stand firm when everything around us seems to be falling apart? It's clear that everything happening in the world, from the fight against the global financial system to the struggles for freedom and power, has a much deeper meaning. And when you understand this, you'll realize that these events aren't happening randomly. They are leading us toward a preordained conclusion. The global reaction to Trump's executive order, the aftermath of Trump's decision to ban CBDCs, was nothing short of explosive. Within hours of his executive order, the Federal Reserve held emergency meetings, scrambling to assess the damage. It wasn't just a delay, it was a significant disruption to a plan that had been carefully crafted by central bankers around the world for years. The financial elite knew that this was not just a policy shift, but a direct challenge to their global control. The stakes had suddenly become much higher, almost immediately. International calls were made for coordination among central banks to circumvent America's decision. Public statements flooded the media, defending the necessity of CBDCs, claiming that they were crucial for economic stability and growth. The European Central Bank voiced concern, fearing that the US's stance would isolate America from the global financial system, leaving it vulnerable in the face of the growing digital currency revolution. This reaction speaks volumes. They feared not just the financial implications, but the deeper, more spiritual battle that Trump's executive order represented. But perhaps the most surprising response came from China. In a move that stunned many, Chinese officials actually celebrated Trump's decision to ban CBDCs. Why? Because they saw it as an opportunity to advance China's digital yuan on the global stage, positioning it as the dominant global digital currency. This shift in the geopolitical landscape, marked by Trump's opposition, would only serve to increase the competition for global currency control and bring the world one step closer to the final conflict. Foretold in prophecy. The technological infrastructure and the Antichrist's system. Let's not forget the technological backbone that's being rapidly constructed to support the rise of these digital currencies. The very infrastructure that Trump's executive order sought to slow down is the same infrastructure that will enable the Antichrist's rise. Central banks around the world had been pouring resources into developing and testing these systems, which include sophisticated surveillance and control mechanisms. Every transaction, every purchase, every movement of money can and will be tracked. The world is already moving toward a cashless society, and CBDCs are the gateway to that reality. As the global financial system shifts, people will find it harder to operate outside of the digital grid. With the advent of digital currencies, the power to control the world economy, as predicted in Revelation 13:17, will no longer be a distant dream. It will be a reality. This is the world the Antichrist will inherit, a world where no one can buy or sell unless they have his mark. This transition to a fully digital, monitored financial system is not something to take lightly. The power to control individuals' finances is the power to control their lives. And this power will eventually fall into the hands of one man, the Antichrist. The infrastructure is already in place. The only thing missing is the leader who will rise to lead it. Mass deception and the coming global unity. The second reason why the Antichrist will rise, despite any resistance, is the mass deception that's already in motion. If you've been paying attention to the media and the rapid spread of misinformation, you'll see that we're already living in an age where truth is often drowned out by lies. Social media platforms, algorithms, and fake news have become the primary means by which many people form their beliefs. But what does this have to do with prophecy? In 2 Thessalonians 2:11, it says that God will send them a strong delusion, so that they will believe the lie. The lie, of course, is the deception of the Antichrist. When he arrives, he won't need to convince people the old-fashioned way. The world is already conditioned to believe whatever they see on their screens. And with technology advancing at such a rapid pace, the Antichrist will use the very tools we've created to deceive the masses. It won't be just political lies or false news. It will be supernatural signs and wonders. These lying wonders will be so convincing that even the most devoted believers will be tempted to follow him. The infrastructure for this mass deception is already in place, and it's only a matter of time before it's used to manipulate the world. The rise of the beast system and global unity amid crisis has always been a powerful tool for pushing the world toward greater unity. When a major disaster strikes, people naturally look for strong leadership and solutions. But what if the crisis is engineered? What if the system that is meant to provide solutions is the very one that leads to oppression? Throughout history, every major crisis, be it World War I, World War II, or the 2008 financial collapse, has led to the rise of global institutions, the League of Nations, the United Nations, the calls for global financial regulation, These are not coincidences. They are steps toward the one world government predicted in Revelation 13-7, where the beast was granted authority over every tribe, tongue, and nation. The Antichrist will rise not by conquering nations one by one, but by stepping into a world that's already primed for global governance. People will demand it. They will see the global government as the only solution to the crises they face, and the Antichrist will be the one to provide that solution, offering peace and security in exchange for complete control. The sinister role of technology and surveillance, the technology needed to control the world's population, is already here. In China, over 200 million surveillance cameras track the movements of citizens. Social credit systems monitor not only what people buy, but who they associate with, where they go, and even what they say online. But this is just the beginning. Similar systems are being implemented in countries across the globe, often under the guise of safety and convenience. Your smartphone tracks your every move. Your credit cards record every purchase. Your social media posts are analyzed by algorithms. And now, we have the technology to consolidate all this data into detailed profiles of every person on Earth. Facial recognition, voice recognition, and even your walking pattern can be used to identify you from afar. In Revelation 13:16-17. It's prophesied that no one will be able to buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast. Thanks to modern technology, we now know how this will happen, and most people are accepting it voluntarily because they believe it makes life easier. They're trading their privacy for security and their freedom for convenience. But as history has shown, the price for this convenience is much higher than most people realize. Religious apostasy and the spiritual vacuum. Perhaps the most alarming trend is the decline of true Christianity. In 1970, 90% of Americans identified as Christians. Today, that number has dropped to 65% and continues to fall. But the real issue isn't just the declining numbers, it's what's happening to those who remain. Many churches are abandoning biblical truths in favor of messages that are more comfortable. Prosperity gospel, universalism, and the idea that all paths lead to God have taken root in many congregations. This spiritual vacuum is dangerous. When people abandon the truth, they become vulnerable to any message that promises peace and prosperity. And when the Antichrist appears, he will offer that message signs, wonders, and promises of a utopian world. But it will be a lie. Most people won't recognize the deception because they've already been conditioned to believe what feels good, rather than what is true. The inevitable rise of the Antichrist. Despite Trump's efforts to delay the rise of the beast system, the Bible is clear. The Antichrist will come. The forces of evil are already at work, and they are building momentum. However, there is hope. The final chapter of this story is not one of darkness, but of victory. Revelation 19 tells us that Jesus Christ will return as King of Kings to defeat the Antichrist and establish his eternal kingdom. But the question remains, which side will you choose? Will you be deceived by the signs and wonders, or will you stand firm in your faith? The stage is being set, and the final act is approaching. The question is no longer if it will happen, but when. The infrastructure for the Antichrist's rise is in place. The world is already moving toward the one-world system foretold in Scripture. And as we approach the end, the only thing that remains to be decided is whether you will be prepared for what's coming. Will you choose truth, or will you follow the lie?